Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with the next Age of Apocalypse book. Today we are going over X-Calibre #1. And I remember when I first read this series when I was younger, like back when it first came out back in '95, and I didn't really know the original X-Calibre team that much, or a lot of the characters that lie within this story. But years have passed, and I finally kind of see what Warren Ellis did with this book, and I'm like, oh man, I appreciate it so much more now. So what am I talking about? Well, let's go ahead and jump into this book. So we start out with this kind of like, it always reminds me of the River Styx with the ferryman, and we're introduced to this character named Switchback. She was originally from Detroit, and she's making her way to what's called Avalon. She doesn't, she wants to get away from the horrors of Apocalypse, and Avalon's supposed to be a refuge where humans and mutants both can get away from the slaughter. Well, she thinks she's scammed, but then she's introduced to this bulking behemoth guide named Cain. And for those of you that aren't sure, when this guy says, I am Cain, this is Cain Marco. This is the Juggernaut. And he works as more of a monk in this series. So this is what I meant by Ellis taking these characters that we know, and they're like 180, just completely different. And so it's weird to see the capacity that he is in this book, where he's very much chaste and just very quiet and mute. However, from here, it seems like, Switchback, she's kind of impatient a lot. And as they're trudging through this forest to get to Avalon, he goes, Switchback doesn't know whether to laugh or cry when Cain starts babbling, tranced, about some dead brother of his. So this is where we're talking about Charles Xavier. And then we're introduced to Avalon. And I really enjoy this mixed medium splash page here because, we get traditional pencils coloring here of comic book style. And then that helps because here in the foreground we got this nice perspective. And then they kind of give it that muted, because like when you look at mountains or whatnot out in the distance, it looks like a painting. I like that this is an actual painting. I'm not sure if this would be acrylic. I'm not sure what medium that'd be, or if that'd be watercolor. If you all know, let me know down in the comments, but I just really like how they use this mixed medium here to show that there's this beauty in this hellscape that is the Age of Apocalypse. And then here's a great juxtaposition of this. So here, get this great page, and then we get a beautiful splash page, but for the wrong reasons, because this is New York. So we just saw Avalon, and now we're seeing Apocalypse's strong city. And this is terrifying compared to what the serene scene we just saw. But in terms of like art, aesthetic, dynamicness, the way the buildings are kind of, and the High Council Sentinels are just whoosh, and the rain's going this way, just very not a flat panel at all. So this story is called The Infernal Gallop, and as I just said, this is Warren Ellis writing, Ken Lashley penciler, Joe Rosas doing the colors, Starkins and Comicraft doing the lettering, Suzanne Gaffney is the editor, Bob Harris editor-in-chief. Oh, and forgive me if I slaughter these. Wegsrin, Moy and LaRosa doing the inks, Digital Chameleons doing the separations, and the print date on this book was March 1995, and I just already am loving the artwork. Now, we are taken back to heaven that we were introduced in X-Men Alpha, and this is run by Warren Worthington, Archangel. And what I like is how, again, Ellis is kind of using this juxtaposition of we're living this hellscape and this place is called heaven, and it's kind of like a dark joke. And then they're talking about Warren himself, and they go, this is the cost of holding a sliver of heaven and the guts of hell. Then, well, how about we just go ahead and read it since it's right here. Warren Worthington, who has sold any piece of him worth keeping to make heaven what it is. This is the cost of holding a sliver of heaven in the guts of hell. Then, having no soul left to enjoy it with. And as you can see, the place is just very much like a Sodom and Gomorrah type place. So that's intense. And just love the way Nightcrawler, just using his innate mutant ability to hide in shadows, just surprises him. So what kind of goes back and forth is Angel grovels to Apocalypse, so he's able to keep heaven open. But on the side, he always has in the past has helped Magneto and any other mutants do what they need to do to get around Apocalypse. So he's kind of like a middle ground. And if I understand correctly from Alpha, if memory serves correctly, heaven is kind of this neutral place where humans and mutants can mingle. I think that's right. I'm going to have to go back and check. If I'm wrong, feel free to make fun of me. But anyway, Kurt here is saying that he needs safe passage to Avalon. And Angel's trying to say, I'm done working for terrorists. And, you know, we're always used to Kurt always kind of being more the level-headed one. He grabs Warren, his best friend in 616. He goes, you will become whatever I tell you to become. You exist solely upon the excellence of your groveling to Apocalypse and your worth to us. So he tells him about how he needs to go to Avalon to meet up with his mother, and they need to find a Lady Destiny to corroborate his story, which is Bishop's story. And yeah, some other things happen there between Nightcrawler and Angel that I don't want to give away because I want you guys to read this book because this is such a great story. Now we cut into Apocalypse. He's talking to Raven, which at first throws you off because you see all these monitors of Xavier. And you're like, wait a minute, but we know Mystique. She likes to play head games. Now she's trying to tell Magneto that she doesn't want to help. She's not going to ever step foot on Avalon again. And here's where we find that Magneto, you know, he's very much a changed man in this world, but he is stern because he says, I said I understand, but allow me to explain why you'll comply. If you help, I will not have your location divulged to Apocalypse, who, of course, would be more than happy to tear off all your arms and legs. If you help, I will not tear off your arms and legs. So Raven acquiesces and goes, oh, well, at least I can look forward to seeing my son again. And that's kind of the end of that. So we are taken to the Manhattan East River into a place that's called a Stark Holding. But no one in this world knows who Tony Stark was. But I like that little fan service there. That makes me happy. And then Kurt's not sure what he's seen here. He's seen this kind of ritual dancing going on. And of course, I always love how in panels like this where you kind of see a new character enter like this, where they leave in just enough for someone to enter a frame, and it's done in silhouette. And that silhouette turns out to be John Proudstar. For those of you that are not long-time X-Men readers, John Proudstar is Thunderbird. When Lynn Wein released Giant Size X-Men #1, we were introduced to the new team that was supposed to save the original X-Men from Krakoa. And Thunderbird was one of the originals, along with Sunfire, Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, and Banshee, I think, was the new team. So it's interesting to see him alive after he died at the hands of killing himself to stop Count Nefaria. Was that his name? Nefaria or Nefarious? I can't remember. But anyway, John Proudstar is talking about, welcome to, what does he say? Well, how about this? Instead of me trying to sit there and think, he goes, I presume you're Nightcrawler, the X-Men. We were warned of your coming. I am John Proudstar. This is the Ghost Dance, the first link of the Infernal Gallop. And so John talks about how this place is kind of like a church to them. And Kurt goes, I shall kill Worthington when I return. He knows what I think of churches. So just as I said at the beginning, complete 180 characteristics of the normal X-Men we know. As where, Kurt was driven out of Germany by an angry mob that looked like something out of Frankenstein, and Xavier saved him. Kurt understood, and Xavier helped show him his humanity and that not everybody is bad like this. But in this world, because there was no Xavier, it says the angel did say that you'd had some bad experiences with the Christian church in your youth. I'll bet he did. So, again, hellscape Earth, hellscape people. And this is kind of interesting what Ellis does, is he talks about, I can't say, you know, to my knowledge, if the ghost dance is a real dance or not. If you all know, please let me know down in the comments, because I really would like to know. But either way, I like what he does here, because Proudstar says, this is a variant on the ghost dance religion, practiced by our people in the Old West. We believe that if we were danced long enough, with enough passion, then God would wipe the white man out, and each of us killed by whites would be reborn. Now we dance for the erasure of apocalypse from our land. So just a really interesting way that you take something that's their heritage, and because of apocalypse, now there's like a common enemy, and that's what they try to apply this heritage to. So I find that a really interesting read right there. So again, if y'all can attest that the ghost ritual is real, please let me know. Now, as we can see, Kurt is very short-tempered. He does something to John Proudstar here. I don't want to give it away, but he makes his point clear that he is going to go to Avalon, and no one or nothing, no one or anything is going to stand in his way. Now, who is this spy lurking in the shadows, who seems to have a very short temper, even for her own allegiances, as we can see this infinite going down by an arrow? Well, as we skip the ads, this Dissented Conference, I don't know, it's septuple. If I'm saying that wrong, let me know. But basically, this is Danielle Moonstar, and she works for Apocalypse. So, after seeing the Dani that we know from the New Mutants, and to see her working for Apocalypse, oh my God. Now, with that said, here's another one. We see this guy, and he keeps going X. X. And even Apocalypse is kind of fed up with Moonstar, because he goes, "Cold, Danielle. Cease killing the guards, or you'll be next to die." And so she explains to Apocalypse what Nightcrawler's plans are. And then she says, "What's wrong with Dead Man Wade?" You know who this is. Because even Apocalypse says he is again regressing to his days at the eugenics program. A pity. After imbuing him with his crude healing factor, they could do nothing about his physical condition. So Deadpool is a servant of Apocalypse. Now, there's one thing that I do want to show you all that I've been kind of skipping over, but as we're kind of starting to close up all the number ones, there's a couple more, but I figure this is a good time as any, since we're starting to get out of America. Each book kind of has a rundown of how they created the Age of Apocalypse, what gave them the ideas. If you want to read that more in depth, find the books. But here, I like that they actually plotted out a map. And so we see the Wall of Apocalypse, which is Canada, the Badlands, where Holocaust reigns, Mikael, Sinister, Abyss, and then under control of Apocalypse. And then all the different areas. And it kind of shows unconfirmed Infernal Gallop to Avalon, which is down here in South America. And of course leads down to Antarctica. And so it's just really interesting to show you, kind of gives you at least a rundown of the world and where everything is. I mean, even look, Muir Island, Sentinel Processing Plant. Muir Island, we'll get into more here in a little bit, same with the Human High Council. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this map for that reason. Now, I like is when this sub takes off for Avalon, X-Calibre. So I like that. That was kind of a nice little nod to fans there. But I don't want to give any more of this book away, because as we can see, a lot of characters that we know known characteristics about, it's just completely warped, as were the, this is a warped timeline, and still an absolutely amazing read. The artwork's great, just like those splash pages, man. Oh, those hit me every time. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if you can find this run, even if you have to dig through all the dollar bins if you can't find them in the main back issues. And if you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X-Calibre bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel. And we love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with y'all down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you all again so much for stopping by. I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.